Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Too fat for fashion. It sucks, doesn't it? This concept, this thought, this topic has been on my mind a lot recently, and it's since I watched a video by my good friend here on YouTube, Gwenny from Styled by Gwenny. I will link Gwenny down below in the description box. If you're not watching Gwenny already, do yourself a favour and go and click the link. She is fabulous. But she recently put out a video where she talked about how fashion is not made for her body and her body is not made for fashion. The two don't go together. And in the video she starts with a vlog. She's going shopping looking for a wedding outfit, and then it's how she is after that and how she felt during that shopping. And she comes home and then talks to us about how she felt and how it made her feel, and really brings on the topic of when you are not made the way fashion designers and the fashion world thinks that you should be made, and how if we were to sum up a vision in our head of how society says the perfect woman should look, that image will not fit with a huge amount of our bodies. It just won't. And for so long, fashion magazines, the runways, the catwalks have shown and highlighted and promoted the image of somebody who is very slim. And yes, you will see some models now being introduced that are maybe a little bit more slightly curvy. And one thing that I think is great and fabulous is the rise of fashion bloggers who represent average bodies a lot more than what fashion historically has. And I say average rather than normal, because there is no such thing as a normal body. We're all different. We are all our own selves. And I do love though that bloggers are coming through, and there are now curvy bloggers and bloggers in all shapes and sizes showcasing fashion and how they put looks together. And for me, certainly, it's one of the things that has made, I was going to say fashion, that's going too far, but it has made dressing feel a little bit more all-inclusive, because I still think that fashion is very much aimed at a very slim silhouette. And when I watched Gwenny's video, it was sobering and it brought an awful lot back to mind. I did, for one, think that Gwenny was exceptionally brave and raw in addressing it the way that she did. She was very honest in her video. And I know that some of the times that I have felt worst about myself, and I'm not talking here about major life events, I'm talking about on the superficial level, but it's not really just superficial, is it? I mean that I'm not talking about loss or death or anything like that, but on things that affect your day-to-day. And some would say it's on a superficial level, but it's not just superficial, because it hurts more than that. And it impacts, certainly me. I was going to say us, and I was going to deflect and put it into the third party, but let's address what we're talking about. Certainly me, and certainly Gwenny from her video. It impacts you more than just on a superficial level. It makes you feel less than, not worthy. And Gwenny says this in her video, that she was left to feel like something was wrong with her and her body because it didn't fit the clothing that she was looking at. And I certainly, talking from experience, can say that I have been there so many times. So many times. I have been quite slim at a time. I have never been skinny because I have always had breasts and hips and a bum. And that doesn't make for a slim, skinny silhouette. I have been at times a lot slimmer than I thought I was. In my mind, I always thought I was fat. Probably a bit of body dysmorphia in there. But if I look back, and it's that meme you would see on Instagram at times, I would look back at photographs and I wish I was as fat as I thought I was back then, because I was actually very slim. But I was never skinny. And then I have put weight on through pregnancies, I have lost weight, I have been through a number of miscarriages, I put weight on over those, the dealing with those, the grief of those. My dad passed away very, very suddenly. I put on 3 stone. That is a huge amount of weight for somebody who is 5'1". It basically made me look, in my mind, very round and very small, and it happened very suddenly. So I very much struggled to adjust to my new shape, and I didn't know what to do with myself. None of the clothes that were in my wardrobe fit, and this was very quickly, so there was no gradually adapting to it. Nothing really fit. I felt terrible. I looked in the mirror and felt awful. I went shopping and wanted to cry, and probably did cry a number of times, because I couldn't find things to work for me, and I didn't know how to dress the new shape. And that's why I think it's great, the variety of bloggers that are coming through promoting different looks and how to dress different shapes, because it's educational. And I know people who study very serious educational subjects are going to wince at that, but if you're in this position, it is educational in how to dress your shape and what works and what flatters. And I think that is a fabulous step forward. But there were a lot of things about my shape, and still, because I'm not skinny, I'm never going to be skinny, that I just didn't know what to do with. And I ended up a lot of the times wearing black leggings and oversized jumpers or oversized t-shirts. I hid myself. I wore what I could cover myself with. I wore what fit. I didn't wear things because I liked them. I didn't even attempt to put looks together because I didn't know where to start. And I didn't wear clothing that flattered my shape. Now, Gwenny is a lot better at dressing than I feel at that point I was. Gwenny looks fabulous, but it doesn't matter that I'm going to tell her that. It's how she felt, and it's how she felt in that vlog and in that video when she was putting things on. And I had always had through life not being skinny and not being tiny, as in size wise 5'1" is pretty tiny, but I had always had encounters where I would go shopping and I was alive to the fact that a lot of clothing was not made for my shape, especially when I was younger. And even though I was slimmer then, I was still curvy, and there was silhouettes being worn by the age group I was in that I couldn't wear because I just wasn't cut for them. And as I then put on the weight very suddenly and tried to shop, it really did bring it home to me that clothing is not made, in my mind, was not made for people that are slightly larger than what society says you should be. Some of the brands only make sizes up to UK 14 and 16. Others make bigger sizes, but they class them as plus sizes, and it's not the same ranges. You can't get the same styles and the same clothes. And then other brands are more inclusive and have bigger ranges of what you can buy. And for me at that point, I think I got a very harsh realisation and cementing really of what I had probably always thought and known, was that fashion, when I felt for me, and this is very personal, I felt I was fat at that point. I was fat, objectively. I was overweight. I would have probably been classed as obese because I am 5'1". When I put a lot of weight on, it doesn't take as much to push you into that category. I probably was at not healthy weight, as medics would tell me at that point. But clothing wasn't made for my shape then, and clothing still, there's a lot of clothing still not made for my shape now, but I would have come home and I would have quite often been tearful and been very sad. And yes, I know that there's going to be people that would just say, well, lose the weight, or you've lost a bit of weight now, or just lose weight. It's not as simple as that, because weight can be dictated by so many different things. There is a very simplistic view of weight as being overeating. It's not that simple. Weight can be linked to your body shape. It can be linked to your heritage and to where your ancestry comes from and the types of body shapes and storing of fat that would have been needed back then for survival. It comes from how fast your metabolism works. It comes from how you process food. It comes, for me, it's very emotional as well. I only have managed to lose weight recently whenever I actually was able to do some work on myself mentally and sort out things that had been going on since my dad died and things that I hadn't dealt with and I had clung on to. And because I was clinging on to those and not dealing with them and not grieving, my body was clinging on to weight. So no matter what I did, I couldn't lose it. Even when I was eating very, very little, probably not eating healthily then, I couldn't lose the weight. So it's far too simplistic to say just stop eating. And it's actually quite insulting to say that. And I don't think that you ever know the full picture of what's going on, but certainly Gwenny's video struck such a chord with me because it really brought that back to my mind, that fashion isn't made for slightly bigger bodies or bigger bodies a lot of the time. And I really admire the bloggers, the curvier bloggers that are finding ways to make it work. I certainly hadn't got to the point that I was as confident in myself to be able to dress myself the way that they can. And I think confidence is very key. I certainly didn't know how to put together the looks that they could, and I didn't know or feel comfortable enough to do that. So that's something that I hadn't got to that point with. But I do think that when I would have been trying on clothes and putting things together and them not fitting, quite often they've been, or I carried weight on my belly. So I have a shape that will get a pot belly. And I have always had it. Even when I was very slim, I would have had a little belly here. Now I've been told that genetically my body shape stores weight there to protect your ovaries. So for reproducing, protecting you there, and that's giving you that buffer. For me, it's just a pot belly and it sticks out, and I've never ever liked it. And it's something I've always struggled with. The only time I would say I was comfortable with my belly and clothes was when I was pregnant. And people would probably think that's strange because your belly's obviously bigger, but it's meant to be bigger then. So it was okay to have a belly when I was pregnant. It was okay to have a bump in my own mind. And it was the only time I probably embraced that. It's the only time I've worn certain types of clothing that's very tight around the belly because I didn't mind having a belly at that point. And for fashion, clothing, which is meant to lift us up, brands that we spend our money on, that is meant to make us feel better. It's the wrapping that we put ourselves in, the packaging we present ourselves in, that's meant to lift you up, to make you feel so low, is heartbreaking. And the brands really do need to do better. And this is not just fashion brands, we'll get to those, but all brands, high street, up, all need to do better. They need to make better ranges, better availability, better quality clothing and better choice that goes in all of the sizes. Because to make them so exclusionary when you make them to a certain level, a small size level, is making an awful lot of people feel like this, feel like crap, because fashion isn't made for their bodies. And it's very hurtful, and fashion wasn't made for my body, and a lot of fashion still isn't made for my body because these curves are still here. And I have wobbly bits because I'm not someone that works out a lot, and I know you can come in and say, well, work out a lot. You either do or you don't, and I don't, and I've accepted that. I swim, but I also have a very busy life, so not to the level that it keeps me very toned. And I eat, and I drink, and I enjoy my life. So definitely not to the level that it keeps me very toned. But to feel like that from clothing that you're going out to buy to make yourself feel good in, it's crushing. The high fashion brands are even worse. If we look at ready to wear, a lot of ready to wear from the designer brands are definitely not made for even slightly larger bodies. They're cut very small, they're cut very slim, they don't flatter curvier bodies. It's very hard to get pieces. And I think the fashion brands are very well known for that. Didn't Karl Lagerfeld once famously or infamously say, fashion is the greatest motivation for losing weight? And well, that shows where he was coming from, and he was the lead designer of a house designing clothes. Shows you where those clothes are going for when they're being designed. There's no attempt there to design them to be inclusive. There's no attempt to design them for bigger sizes. They don't want to dress bigger sized ladies. They don't want to dress the people that fit the vision that they have in their mind for what we should look like and what their clothes should look like on us. And fashion brands, I think, are the worst for this, high fashion brands. And defending them on their ready to wear and the size choices, I think, would be difficult because there's so few of it is made to be inclusive. Now, do they have to be? It's their brand. They can design whatever way they want. They don't have to be, but it's a truth nonetheless. Another thing I know I'm going to probably get in the comment box on this is talking about body positivity and how I'm potentially being anti-body positive. That's not my intention at all. If you are comfortable in your own size and shape and you don't get these feelings and you can shop and feel fabulous about yourself, I am so envious of that. I would love to be comfortable and confident in my shape regardless of the size. I would love it. I just don't have it. And I think when we talk about body positivity, it's not something that somebody else can put on you. It's how you feel yourself. And it's how you feel in yourself and in your clothing and in your skin. And I just will be honest with you. And when I was heavier, I didn't feel body confident at all. I hid myself. It impacted so many parts of my life. I wanted to keep the lights off. I didn't want to get dressed in front of my husband, let alone undressed. I didn't want to go out because I didn't know what to wear. I didn't feel good going out, so I didn't want to go out. And I have talked before about finding a lot of confidence since I turned 40, and that's true. I definitely have become a lot more confident in myself since I turned 40. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I have also become a lot more confident in myself again since I've managed to lose some of the weight. And is that a good thing? Probably not. I should be able to be body confident no matter what size I am, but my reality is that I wasn't. And I feel so much better in myself now that I have lost weight. And that's something that I did for myself and was very hard work, not just physically, as I've said. But I'm almost a little ashamed of myself that I didn't have that confidence, that it has impacted me so much, that I feel so much better having lost weight. I should have been able to feel like that when I was at my bigger size, but I just couldn't. So I'm envious of people who are body confident at any size. I think it's fabulous. But it's not something that I was able to have. And for me personally, I just didn't feel confident in the way that I looked. Another probably unpopular truth, since I have lost weight and do feel more confident in myself, it's brought back a lot of my personality that probably had been dampened for a while. I am a lot more outgoing. I'm still an introvert, but with my own friends that I'm comfortable with, a lot more outgoing. I want to go out a lot more. I'm dressing differently. I'm wearing different clothing. I just feel better. And that is impacting lots of ways in my life, including my personal life, including my social life. And that's probably not great that something like weight had that much power over me, but it did. When I was thinking about this, I came across a blog post on the HuffPost entitled Too Fat for Fashion, and it's by a contributor called Hayley Khosravi. It's a fashion blogger student. It's a blog post back from 2012. And I will link it down below in the description box. And she says at the title of her blog, I have gained some weight and I am at my biggest to date in these 22 years. Obviously a lot younger than me. At this size, the only way I'm participating in any of the news fashion is if I get some serious alterations, mainly in the booty region. The worst part about my struggle with ill-fitting clothes was that I didn't want anyone to think less of me as a fashionista. I am ashamed that my concern with my weight gain was not my health or well-being, but what I could no longer wear nor buy. She might be ashamed of it, but it's so true and real and honest, and I felt that. I know exactly how she feels. I have certainly felt that when I had gained the weight, that I hated how it impacted what I could dress in. And I get it. And I just admitted that I was ashamed of it as well. But the feeling of being too fat for fashion for me was quite crushing and heartbreaking. And as I say, I'll link Gwenny's channel down below in the description box. Watch Gwenny's video as well if this touches a chord with you or is a topic that you're interested in any way. Watch her video. And I would love to know what you think of this in the comment box, and please be respectful of anybody that you're talking about, because I know there will be comments about, well, you know, lose weight. When we were in London last year, there was a number of YouTubers met and there was a number of vlogs went out, and that was kind of a turning point for me, because when I come home I saw myself in the back of, I think it was Meredith's vlog, and I hated what I saw. I was obviously not posing or not standing at an angle. Angles are great, lighting is great, but I was trying stuff on at the back with a handbag, I think, and I caught sight of myself and I just didn't like the way I looked, and it was a bit of a, I need to face this now. But there were comments put on Steph's video, Steph from Handbagholic, who is fabulous, looks fabulous, and is lovely. It is such a good person. But there was a comment on one of her videos or posts, I can't remember which it was, that said, why are you the only person in this picture that isn't overweight and is healthy? And I just remember thinking at the time, because I had had that moment of seeing that in the video, well, you're speaking to my most insecurities at the minute, my biggest insecurities and fears about myself. And it just struck a chord. So people do have the ability, when they're talking about weight or having an opinion on this, to be quite cruel with it. I am somebody who is quite direct. I have no difficulty with that, but there is a way to say things. So if you're coming into the comment box and you're making any comments like that about size and how you feel about size of people that are curvier like myself, please just be respectful in those comments. Thank you for watching this. I don't think I really knew where I was going with it. It was a bit of a chat. It just really struck me. I've been thinking about it since Gwenny posted that video and it hasn't left my mind, which was why I just felt compelled to talk to you about it. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. I would love to hear them in the comment box. Thank you for watching this. If you have enjoyed it or it struck a chord with you in any way, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. And if you're not done with me yet and would like some lighter handbag topic videos, I'm going to leave another one for you on the screen to enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching me. Please take care and I will see you again in the next one.